The cargo bay of the human freighter Wandering Star was supposed to be off-limits during rest cycles. Captain Sarah Matthews had made that crystal clear to her two newest crew members, Kale and Lyra, identical twins from the Verdani species, hired on as junior engineers for their 3-month journey to the Outer Rim colonies. Which is exactly why the twins were currently creeping through the dimly lit bay at 300 hours, their bioluminescent skin markings carefully dimmed to avoid detection. "This is a terrible idea," Lyra whispered, her silver eyes reflecting the emergency lighting as she followed her brother between towering stacks of cargo containers. Their matching emerald skin and willowy frames made them look like synchronized shadows moving through the darkness. "You said that about joining a human crew," Kale replied, navigating around a particularly large crate marked Fragile Colony Supplies. "And look how well that's turned out. We've been here 3 weeks, Kale." "That's hardly a success story." "Exactly. 3 weeks and we still don't know what the humans do in here during rest cycles. Aren't you curious?" Lyra sighed. Curiosity was the trait that had gotten them both exiled from their homeworld in the first place. The Verdani valued conformity, predictability, adherence to protocol. The twins valued, well, everything else. "Fine," she conceded, "but if Captain Matthews catches us—" "She won't. She's probably asleep like a normal person." They rounded another stack of containers, and Kale froze so suddenly that Lyra walked directly into his back. "What?" she started, but he held up one slender hand for silence. Light was spilling from an open area ahead, and voices, human voices, echoed through the cavernous space. The twins crept forward, staying low behind the containers until they could peer around the edge. What they saw made absolutely no sense. The cargo bay's central area had been completely transformed. The harsh industrial lighting had been replaced with strings of small, colorful lights that cast a warm glow over everything. Several large blankets had been spread across the floor, and on those blankets sat 4 members of the crew, all in casual clothing rather than uniforms. Captain Matthews, the stern woman who ran her ship with military precision, was wearing something soft and formless, her dark hair loose around her shoulders instead of pulled back in its usual severe bun. Chief Engineer Rodriguez sat cross-legged beside her, laughing at something. Dr. Chen and Navigator Williams completed the circle, but it was what they were doing that truly baffled the twins. In the center of the blankets sat multiple containers of what appeared to be food, but not ration packs or Nutri-bars. Real food, the kind that required preparation. The humans were passing containers back and forth, eating with their hands, talking and laughing with an ease the twins had never witnessed during normal duty hours. "Is this some kind of ritual?" Lyra breathed. "If it is, why is it secret?" Kale's eyes were wide. "And why do they look so different?" Captain Matthews threw her head back and laughed at something Rodriguez said, actually laughed, a sound the twins had never heard from her before. She reached out and shoved his shoulder playfully, and he grinned at her with such warmth that it seemed like a completely different person. "I brought the good stuff," Dr. Chen was saying, pulling out a bottle of something amber-colored. "Actual whiskey from Earth, been saving it for a special occasion. 3 weeks without any major disasters counts as special," Williams said, accepting a cup. "I'll drink to that." They raised their cups in unison, clinking them together. "To the Wandering Star," Matthews said. "And to the best damn crew in the sector." "Cheesy, Captain," Rodriguez teased, "Shut up and eat your dumplings, Rodriguez." The twins watched in fascination as the humans continued their meal, the conversation flowing easily from teasing to serious discussions to stories that had everyone laughing. There was a gentleness to their interactions, a vulnerability that was completely absent during duty hours. "They're completely different," Lyra whispered. "The captain, the way she's sitting, the way she's talking, it's like she's not even the same person." "Look at how close they're sitting," Kale added. "And they keep touching each other, just casual touches on the arm, the shoulder. I've never seen humans do that during shifts." Dr. Chen was telling a story about her first posting on a medical station, something involving a diplomatic incident and a misunderstanding about human anatomy. The others were hanging on every word, and when she reached the punchline, their laughter echoed through the cargo bay. That's when it happened. Lyra, leaning forward to get a better view, shifted her weight onto a loose panel. The metallic clang echoed like a gunshot through the space. 4 human heads snapped in their direction simultaneously. "Who's there?" Matthews was on her feet instantly, the relaxed captain replaced by the commanding officer in a heartbeat. The twins looked at each other in panic. Kale grabbed Lyra's hand, and they both stood up slowly, stepping into the light with their hands raised in the universal gesture of non-aggression. "Captain Matthews," Kale said, his voice smaller than he'd ever heard it. "We didn't mean to intrude, we were just spying on us." Matthews's expression was unreadable. "Curious," Lyra offered weakly. "We were curious. We saw lights and heard voices, and we thought maybe there was an emergency, so we came to investigate, and then we saw you all, and we didn't know what you were doing, and we should have announced ourselves immediately, but we were just so confused and—" "Lyra," Dr. Chen said gently, "breathe." The young Verdani stopped her rambling, her bioluminescent markings flickering with embarrassment. Matthews studied them for a long moment. Then, to the twins' absolute shock, she sighed and gestured to the blankets. "Sit down, both of you." "Captain," Rodriguez looked as surprised as the twins felt. "They already saw, and they're part of the crew, aren't they?" Matthews looked at the others, who exchanged glances before nodding. "Sit," she repeated to the twins. Hesitantly, Kale and Lyra approached the circle and sat down on the edge of one of the blankets, their postures rigid with anxiety. "Do you know what this is?" Matthews asked, gesturing to the food, the lights, the gathering. The twins shook their heads in unison. "It's called a picnic," Dr. Chen explained. "An Earth tradition. People gather together, share food, talk, no ranks, no protocols, just connection." "But why is it secret?" Lyra asked. "Why only during rest cycles, hidden in the cargo bay?" Williams laughed. "It's not really secret. Most of the crew knows we do this, but we keep it informal, low-key. A captain can't be everyone's friend during duty hours. It compromises authority. But we're all human, and humans need this kind of connection or we go a little crazy. Plus," Rodriguez added, "there's something special about having a space that's just for us, where rank doesn't matter and we can just be people together." Matthews picked up a container and held it out to the twins. "You're here now, might as well join us. These are spring rolls, vegetables, and spices wrapped in thin dough, then fried. Fair warning, they're a bit spicy." Kale took one tentatively, examining it. "You do this often, these gatherings?" "Once a week, usually," Matthews said, settling back into her relaxed posture. "Twice a week if it's been particularly stressful. It helps us remember why we're out here." "And why are you out here?" Lyra asked, taking a spring roll for herself. The question hung in the air for a moment. Then Matthews smiled, really smiled, not the professional expression she wore on the bridge. Because space is big and empty and sometimes terrifying, she said simply. And the only thing that makes it bearable is having people who matter to you. People you can trust, not just with your life during an emergency, but with the small, quiet moments in between. Dr. Chen nodded. On my homeworld Earth, I felt alone even when I was surrounded by billions of people. Out here with this crew, I feel connected even though we're millions of miles from anywhere. That's beautiful, Lyra said softly, then flushed green as she realized she'd spoken aloud. It is, isn't it? Williams agreed. That's what humans do. We find ways to create home even in the void. These picnics, they're not just about food. They're about reminding ourselves that we're not just crew members or job titles. We're family. Cale bit into his spring roll and immediately understood why humans would go to such lengths for this experience. The flavors were complex, layered, nothing like the efficient nutrient pastes common on Verdani ships. This is incredible, he said. But I still don't understand. Why didn't you tell us about this? Why weren't we invited before? Matthews exchanged glances with the others. Honestly, we weren't sure how you'd react. Verdani culture is so different from human culture. We didn't know if you'd find this unprofessional or inappropriate or just weird. We thought you might report us for fraternization or something, Rodriguez admitted. Your species has pretty strict rules about maintaining professional boundaries. The twins looked at each other, having one of those silent conversations that only twins can have. Then Lyra turned back to the humans. Can we tell you why we left our homeworld? She asked quietly. Matthews nodded. If you want to. We were exiled, Cale said. Not officially, but essentially. The Verdani don't believe in individuality or personal connections beyond what serves the collective. We're assigned to ships based on skills, rotated regularly to prevent bonds from forming. Efficiency is everything. But we couldn't do it, Lyra continued. We're twins, which is already unusual for our species. We've been connected our whole lives, and we wanted to connect with others too. We asked questions. We tried to understand people beyond their functions. We wanted relationships that mattered. Her bioluminescent markings pulsed with emotion. Our family council decided we were contaminated with individual-seeking behavior and suggested we'd be happier among species that valued such things. So they sent you to humans, Dr. Chen said softly. And we've been terrified ever since, Cale admitted. Terrified we'd somehow mess it up, that we'd be too different, too strange, that even humans wouldn't want crew members who were defective Verdani. You're not defective, Matthews said firmly. You're brilliant engineers, first of all. But more than that, you're exactly what this crew needs. You ask questions. You care about understanding, not just following orders. Those aren't defects. Those are gifts. Then why keep this from us? Lyra asked, gesturing to the picnic. If we're part of the crew, Rodriguez scratched his head sheepishly. Honestly, we were being idiots. We made assumptions about what you'd want or understand instead of just asking you. So we're asking now, Matthews said. Would you like to be part of this? Our weekly escape from protocol, our little family gathering. No pressure, no expectations, just connection. The twins looked at each other again, and this time Tear's clear, crystalline tears were forming in their silver eyes. We would like that very much, Cale said, his voice thick with emotion. More than you know, Lyra added. Then welcome to the family, Williams said, raising his cup. To our newest picnic attendees. The others raised their cups, and after a moment's hesitation, the twins did the same with the beverages Matthews pressed into their hands. To connection, Dr. Chen added. To finding home in the strangest places, Rodriguez said. To the wandering star, Matthews finished. And to every beautiful misfit who calls her home. They drank, and then the conversation continued, this time with the twins fully included. The humans asked about Verdani culture, about the homeworld the twins had left behind, about their hopes for the future. In turn, the twins asked about Earth, about human customs, about this concept of chosen family that seemed so central to human existence. As the hours passed, something remarkable happened. The twins' rigid postures relaxed. Their bioluminescent markings began to pulse with the warm, golden color that indicated contentment, something they hadn't felt in months. They laughed at Rodriguez's terrible jokes, listened intently to Dr. Chen's stories about Earth's oceans, and found themselves sitting closer to the others, naturally gravitating toward the warmth of connection. "Can I ask you something?" Lyra said eventually, directing her question to Matthews. "During duty hours, you're so stern, commanding, but here you're completely different. How do you do that? How do you separate the captain from the person?" Matthews considered the question, twirling her cup. "I don't separate them exactly. They're both me. But being a captain requires authority, decisiveness, distance. If I'm too friendly on the bridge, crew members might hesitate to follow orders in an emergency, or they might not tell me about problems because they don't want to disappoint me." She smiled. "But being human requires connection, vulnerability, trust. So I save that for these moments, for the people who matter most." "It must be exhausting," Cale said, "switching between them." "Sometimes," Matthews admitted. "But having this," she gestured to the group, "makes it worth it, knowing that once a week I can stop being Captain Matthews and just be Sarah. That's what keeps me sane." "Is that what humans do?" Lyra asked. "Create these spaces where you can be yourselves without the weight of roles and expectations." "The good ones do," Williams said. "The ones who survive the void with their humanity intact." Dr. Chen leaned forward. "Can I tell you something I've learned about humans? We're a species that refuses to let efficiency destroy connection. We could eat nutri-paste and complete our duties and never waste time on things like picnics. But we don't because we understand something fundamental. We're not machines. We need beauty, laughter, stories, touch, shared meals. We need each other. Even when it's inefficient," Rodriguez added with a grin. "Especially when it's inefficient." The twins absorbed this, their minds working through the implications. Everything they'd been taught on their homeworld, the value of efficiency, the danger of individual connections, the superiority of collective function over personal need, all of it was being gently challenged by the warmth of this circle, by the genuine affection these humans showed each other. "I think," Cale said slowly, "we've been afraid of the wrong things." "What do you mean?" Matthews asked. "We were afraid we'd never fit in because we wanted connection," Lyra explained. "We thought our desire for relationships beyond function made us broken, but you're showing us that maybe we weren't broken at all. Maybe we were just trying to be human before we even knew what that meant." "Humans don't have a monopoly on connection," Dr. Chen said gently. "We just refuse to give it up no matter what the cost, and apparently so do you." The twins sat with that revelation, feeling something shift deep inside them. For the first time since leaving their homeworld, they felt not like defective Verdani, but like people who had simply been born in the wrong place, waiting to find their real home. "Next week," Matthews said, gathering up the containers as the artificial night cycle approached its end. It's your turn to bring something. A food from your world, a story, a tradition, whatever feels right. These picnics belong to all of us. We'd like that, the twins said in unison, then grinned at each other. As they helped clean up, working alongside the others in comfortable silence, Lyra caught Kale's eye and knew they were thinking the same thing. They'd come here as exiles, looking for a place that might tolerate their differences. Instead, they'd found humans who celebrated those differences, who understood that strength came not from conformity but from connection, not from efficiency but from the messy, beautiful, inefficient act of caring about each other. They'd seen something they weren't supposed to see, a secret gathering, a human ritual, a glimpse behind the professional masks their crew wore. And everything had changed, because now they knew they weren't alone. They weren't broken. They were simply finding their way home, one picnic at a time, one connection at a time, surrounded by the strangest, most wonderful family they could have ever imagined. As they left the cargo bay, Matthews pulled them aside. "Welcome to the family," she said simply, "and thank you for reminding us why we do this, why connection matters." The twins' bioluminescent markings blazed with golden light. "Thank you," Kale said, "for showing us what it means to be truly human, even when you're not human at all." Matthews smiled. "That's the secret. Being human isn't about species. It's about choosing connection over isolation every single time, no matter how inefficient or illogical it might be." And in that moment, standing in the corridor of a human freighter millions of miles from any world they'd called home, the twins finally understood. They'd found their place. They'd found their people. They'd found home.